One.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Midnight's Edge After Dark Live. We are coming to you right now from various locations. With us, as always, is Mr. Tom Connors.
How we doing tonight?
And we're doing pretty good. With us again is Mr. Matt Weiss.
Hey,
Proprietor. Yep, Matt Weiss. If you haven't checked it out, check out his trailer breakdown of the Emoji Movie. It's fun stuff. And with us once again from Parts Unknown, Weight Unknown, the #1 pick in the NFL Supplemental Draft, Mr. Beyond the Bliss. How you doing?
Not too bad, gentlemen. I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, you're gonna be raking in that nice Canadian Football League money now. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah. We can't all get that big Montreal Alouettes money. Jeez. So, all right, you guys. Busy weekend. We're going to be talking box office. We're going to be talking Comic-Con. We're going to be talking Ghostbusters. We're going to be talking Thor Ragnarok. We're going to be talking Star Trek. And so let's kick it off with the weekend box office wrap-up, shall we? What do you guys think?
Sounds good. Absolutely. That's a good place to start. We got a couple of viewers, so I think we're doing all right.
And if we have time, maybe we'll take a couple questions. What do you think about that, guys?
Yeah, sure. If we got time later
Perfect.
at the end of the show, we'll definitely do that. So to kick off the box office, what a surprise upset. Well, not a surprise so much to myself, but probably to a lot of people out there, especially some of our listeners, that Dunkirk did take the top spot. It's strange that a non-summer movie took the top spot, and Valerian, well, to no one's real surprise, tanked badly. So, guys, what's your thought on that? And I'm not sure. I think between me and Matt, I think we're the only two who have seen Valerian. Or did you get to go see it yet, Rob?
I have not gotten the chance to see it yet. I have read some of the original comics that Andre sent me.
All right.
So I do have a point of reference, but I haven't seen the movie yet.
Right. Well, we won't talk about it too much anyway. And I don't think Beyond you got a chance to see it yet either, right?
no, because everything happened with the whole accident and everything, and that's.
And we're glad you're okay. Yeah, he was supposed to join us on that very first Midnight's Edge podcast, but and we had other plans and stuff like that going on, but he had been dealing with a fender bender, so luckily he's okay and everything's taken care of. But yeah, we might get into a little Valerian talk, but what's your guys' thoughts on the upset of the weekend? It's like, it was like a drag 'em out weekend, it seems like.
I'll say this. I want to say one thing. This is very important. This is why Valerian failed. The two lead actors pretty much suck. I think you all can agree they're not good. And here's the thing. No one, I think I said this a podcast ago, that no one ever says, man, I really want to see a Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan movie. No one ever says that.
She was okay. He was just horrible. Not only that, completely miscast, and he acts like Keanu Reeves through the entire film.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because I've heard that, and also the thing too is I've heard that he doesn't look the part. He doesn't look like this really cool, like kind of macho, sort of Han Solo-esque. I'm guessing.
To be clear, the character is supposed to be your mix between like a Han Solo, almost 007 type, because he's a international or intergalactic federal agent. He's a
major, and you don't get that feeling from Little Goblin Jr. You're like, good lord.
Yeah, that's a good reference.
Yeah.
It's like pizza pocket. Dane DeHaan does not scream leading man to me. I'm sorry.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, but without beating up too much on Valerian, but it just seems like it's all that kind of Twilight-ized sort of leading man thing, where you make him sort of this soft kind of, not soft, but this softened features, very kind of what's the word? You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
He sort of fits into that Robert Pattinson mold of leading men.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's not going to last much longer.
I certainly hope. Because it just seems like a very out of left field thing to have Dane DeHaan doing this. I think was it Carol? Or I'm getting the name.
I think it's Cara Delevingne. Is how you
Cara
Delevingne.
Yeah,
Cara, she's been getting a lot of hate towards this on articles I've been pulling up. I'm like, what's the hate here? I mean, I think Dane's just about as just worse than what Cara's doing here. So like, it's not to me, it's not such a terrible movie. It's just dull. It's just incredibly dull. It's just like could have had so much more promise, and it doesn't deliver it on any stretch of the imagination. And that's the other part. It's lacking so much imagination in a film based entirely on imagination.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: the visuals, from what I see, of course I didn't see it, but the visuals are fantastic. They look like some of the best that I've ever seen, just from the trailers. However, they didn't really do a good job selling the movie. They just, and again, I didn't see it, but I'm just basing off the trailer. That they just said, "Oh, hey, there's a movie," and I said this last podcast too. There's just a movie about two people, Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan, need to do some stuff, and then they do some stuff, and stuff happens, and then more stuff happens, and it's pretty, but stuff happens. It's like there's no real sense of, okay, there's an actual underlying plot going on here, and there's some character dynamic, whatever, and people don't notice. And I'm gonna plug film theory on this because. They appointed to me, not appointed to me directly, but they made a video that it became apparent to me that a lot of things from Star Wars that were taken from Valerian, a lot. It's interesting how this could have been a chance to say, oh, this is where that kind of weird zany, I believe it's French comic, this is where it all came from. And I'm like, and they were like, it could have been a return to form. It could have been something like, oh, so you think Star Wars is great? Wait till you get a load of this. And I feel like it could have been a great competitor to Star Wars and kind of be like, oh, we did it. You may have done it first on the big screen, but we're going to take the reign back. And of course, from what we're seeing here, this is an utter disaster. And it's funny because Luc Besson last year was like, oh man, that Christopher Nolan, man, he ain't that great. He ain't that good. And then all of a sudden, ironically, Dunkirk slaps the crap out of Valerian and Valerian bombs. $20 million. That's even worse than I thought it was going to do. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
And a $300 million budget, I believe, overall, with everything included.
Well, 200 reported, and I'm sure with all the advertising that went along with it, at least 250 altogether. And we already know that this movie is going to kill Europa. So,
I had just read that actually their stock tanked actually.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
No.
One of the things I noticed though is that I was looking actually through the listings. After it's been out for 3 weeks or so, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Spider-Man: Homecoming had twice as many showings than Valerian did, and I can't help but think movie theater chains were saying, we're looking at them like, well, we can't show this, we can't commit that many screens to it or runtime to it because Spider-Man is still going to be doing well.
Well, Spider-Man is doing well, and that's a big misconception going around, guys. And I want to reiterate, because Andre wanted me to reiterate to you guys, sorry I can't talk tonight, that Spider-Man: Homecoming is doing very, very good in comparison, considering it's a reboot after what happened before, the whole Sony fiasco.
And the Amazing Spider-Man, just to interject, that whole thing really damaged
Right, that's what he meant, yeah. And you got a lot of people, just like with Wonder Woman at first, that were a little leery to go see it, but then the movie decided, people decided to start showing up, and you're starting to see that now. In fact, I think number-wise, I'd have to look for sure, but I know Spider-Man is getting very close to Wonder Woman already overall. So it's going to be a neck-and-neck race come to the end of the year until, like, Star Wars comes out, where a lot of these top movies will kind of peter out here at the end of the summer, but we're kind of getting to that point where we're getting to the end. And Valerian was just another one that was stuck in with a bunch of competition. And what about Dunkirk making $50 million? Who expected that? I expected it to do well, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, here's the thing, Tom. Sorry to interrupt. I think Dunkirk specifically did very well considering the competition and the time it came out. That goes to show you that Christopher Nolan sooner or later is going to be in the conversation with the greats, like I would say even Spielberg, some people may even say, in terms of his consistency and the quality of his films, and the fact that he's able to, one of the only few directors now that can actually get butts in seats with the name alone. I also, but I do say this, I do think if Dunkirk would have came out in November, like a November date, and really pushed that Oscar buzz and really went for the veteran kind of war film demographic that usually it seems to me.
And that's what I thought they would do, but I think I know a reason why they didn't, and that was because they didn't want to go up against Thor and Justice League.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And I pointed out right away that I think Warner Brothers has learned with, at least with Interstellar especially, and after Inception, that Christopher Nolan is that type of director where you just got to say, Christopher Nolan directed blah blah blah, and people will show
People will
up.
still
It doesn't
see it,
matter
yeah.
what the hell it is. It
Yeah.
could be a guy farting on screen for 20 minutes,
Oh.
and the critics would say that's brilliant, but still, it's just the point. I mean, I'm not trying to cut down Christopher Nolan at all. I love him as a director. He's a great director. I'm looking forward to seeing Dunkirk. I'm just saying he's gotten to that point now where all people have to say is, like I said in the last podcast, just like Scorsese was back in the day and stuff like that. All you got to say is it's a Christopher Nolan movie and people are there. And they proved that this weekend, I think, with a 50 million. Nobody expected it to do 50, I don't think.
Yeah, I think, again, it has to do with his name. Even though I would predict that it would have actually made maybe close to 80 million, possibly 90 million if it opened in a holiday, like fall date. It doesn't negate the fact that you're pointing out, Tom, that this is a smash hit for a film like this. Very, kind of
especially
niche
this
war
time
film.
of the year.
Yeah, in this time of year during the summertime where people aren't really looking to see that. Now, one thing I will point out, did we discuss the girls' trip? Did we mention that yet? I know that came in number
I was
2.
about to say that. Yeah, actually.
Right. It's interesting because, this is going to sound a little controversial, but let's be real here. I'll put it this way. Girls' Trip pretty much is what Girls' Night is for another demographic of I'm black.
Well, it did
so-
better, but it's like, okay, I
Right.
look at it this way. This is going to show Hollywood, and I hope they're listening and they get the actual right message this time.
Right.
If you do good quality, I don't know all the good quality of it is, but if you do at least original material directed at women, they will come out to see the film if it looks interesting. This movie
Right.
proved that. Bad Moms proved that. And I got to admit, Bad Moms was one of the funnier movies of this last year. So, or I think it was this last year it came out, right? Last
Yes.
year?
Somewhere,
Yeah.
yeah, somewhere around last year. Right.
I think last November or so.
Yes.
Right. And then they got the sequel already ready for this Christmas. But regardless, this just goes to show that if you do something that women will be interested in and make a good product, I'm assuming it's good considering, obviously women talk and they tell their friends just like everybody else does. This is a good movie, go see it.
Seems
And
like
the
it was
numbers
just
show.
okay. I'll check real quick, double. Let me check.
$31
right
million
now.
for a female-driven comedy is a massive hit.
It has about a
Yeah,
7% approval rating overall, like a 7%, but the audience rating gave it about a 4.4, like a 90%. So the audience rating is really high, but the critic rating is pretty.
Well, that's
good.
nothing new.
It's
yeah,
good.
that's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not surprising, but that means this movie looks like it's probably one of those movies like this is going to be this year's Bad Moms, is what I'm trying to get to without rambling on.
Possibly. I mean, if they're going to have Universal's going to do a sequel. I mean, the only reason why I was bringing up before is kind of this thing where some people can say, "Oh, well, it's basically just a derivative of what we saw with
Hangover.
Rough Night." No, it's Rough Night. Female-centric movie is just
Right.
for a blacker audience. And I mean,
Right.
it's kind of this thing where, even though that may be the case, it's ironically is getting better reviews than Rough Night did from Sony. So it's very interesting to see that kind of play out a little bit. Where
Well, not only this was kind of perfect. Not to interrupt you, sorry, Beyond.
No problem,
This
go
is
ahead.
kind of perfect counter programming to Dunkirk.
it is. I would say that.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah,
In a
definitely.
way, it was like they played this almost perfectly. They're like, all right, we've got an idea here. The guys are going to go see either Dunkirk or Spider-Man or Valerian or War for the Planet of the Apes. Let's give the women something good. And they knew they planned this perfectly almost. This is one of the few times where I would say, besides Dunkirk now, where they decided to actually release a film properly and do a good job doing it at the same time, as far as getting it out there at the right time and it making a lot more money than it probably could any other time of the year. Because, yeah, he could have released this in November. Warner Brothers could have pushed it back, but they've got Justice League then. And then what do you do next? You put it in December. Okay, well, there's Star Wars coming out in December. So, and there's a ton of other Oscar bait in that time. So I think they just mainly wanted to avoid the Oscar season for a reason. And at first I thought it was a dumb move, but now I see it was the perfect move. But we should move on from this. But any more thoughts on that, guys?
Well, just one. The girls, was it Girls' Night? What is it? Girls' Trip actually has a $28 million budget, so they've already made that back. So
Perfect.
yeah. So we'll get a sequel to that. Another thing, Spider-Man: Homecoming is actually hanging in there at number 3, and actually did beat War for the Planet of the Apes this week. by
Here's the thing about
$2 million.
Planet of the Apes. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, that's another upset.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's real kind of War for the Planet of the Apes isn't doing as well as I think it should be doing. I don't know if you
I
guys
agree.
with that.
I think Dawn had a similar pattern, unfortunately. It was one of those movies that a lot more people discovered later on cable and video again. Same thing with the first one. It did respectably, and same thing will happen with this one. But yeah.
Okay. Do you think there's a possibility that perhaps even though the films are phenomenally rated, that there's this thing where it's not able to entice audiences, as we're clearly seeing here, where it's great, gets great reviews from critics and fans, but audiences in general aren't really looking at it too much, or at least at the level that I feel like it should be. I could be wrong.
I think it's just more so the competition, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it before, if they would have pushed Apes off at least till August, oh God, it would have owned August. Because I can't think of anything coming out in August right now that would even remotely touch it.
Even something like September would be like. I'm not trying to push it off the.
No. But then you got the problem with the kids being in school, and that's where the studios will say, "Fuck that, no way." So yeah, but August, I think early August would have been perfect here, like in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, or whatever. Even if you opened it on a Wednesday night,
Right.
Well, then you're up against the traditionally August releases are films that studios don't have any confidence in.
Exactly.
And except for a couple years ago when Guardians of the Galaxy, that was an August 1st release. I don't know if you guys remember that.
And that's the kind of the mentality I'm having. Do it in a time where it's got no competition, so the word of mouth can help.
And that Suicide Squad also copied Marvel and did that in the same date, pretty much. August 1st or 2nd. Now, I think it did help Suicide Squad to do as well as it did. I think the brilliant marketing, not to get off topic too much, helped Suicide Squad to succeed, and that's because it was able to own the month, and that could have been the same thing with Apes, and I think August is perfect for Apes. It's kind of the last hurrah of the summer. Yeah. And I think the feeling of the Apes is like, it's not a midsummer movie to me, it's more of an end of the summer, because it's like, it's kind of a fall movie, but not quite there, so August does fit better. It fits better for that, and you can make it a little more cerebral, like they've seemed to be leaning towards more cerebral action. And I think it would have worked, but unfortunately they thought, hey, middle of summer, it's going to work. And
well, I know I saw it, Matt saw it, right? And I don't know about the rest of you, but we loved it. And I thought this is like Oscar caliber shit. And unfortunately, it's not going to get any notice. But I mean, between the effects and the story and the
technical
acting,
awards.
Oh yeah,
yeah, but that's throwaway. That's a given. You know, it's it's going to get that type of accolade just because it is a technical based film, but actual, like, let's say acting, screenplay, directing, yeah, it's probably just going to get pushed aside. And of course we know how biased the Oscar committee can be, just because a lot of them are coming from an older generation. They're like, all these new technical movies, it needs to be dramas, and that's a whole nother topic. I don't want to get into that.
Just remind the Academy that Andy Serkis, who plays Caesar, is British. That'll do it. Yeah.
Okay.
True. There you go.
Well, we have a long show ahead of us, guys. So I thought we may try to accelerate
we should
kind
of move on. Yeah.
Let's move on.
Let's get into Ghostbusters, correct?
Yeah. Well, we were going to cover some of the top. Well, we were going to cover some of the stories, but yeah, we might as well just get into Ghostbusters.
Want a new drug?
And we have Matt here, of course, of Matt's Trailer Breakdown, as we mentioned earlier, and he's our resident Ghostbuster expert. Even though we've all been around long enough to have seen the film and love the film, I think Beyond, you like the movie too, right? The original.
Yeah, I've seen most of it. When I was seeing it on TV, I was like, oh yeah, this movie's actually pretty good. It's not too bad.
Saw it in the theater in 1984, then snuck into the theater next door, saw Gremlins.
There you go.
I do love me some Gremlins, though. I do love that.
So Ghostbusters and Gremlins in the same night.
Now I got to ask you something, just because, and this is real quick, because I know a couple of you even lived out in Rob, did you live out in the New York area at that time?
Yes.
Now there was rumors that at that time Ghostbusters was really, it upset a lot of people over in New York. So the reason, like, Gremlins outplayed Ghostbusters like 2-1 in ticket sales, I guess, in that area because of that, because people were so pissed off about Ghostbusters shutting down half of New York for most of the year before that. Is that true, or do you remember anything like that? Or
that I was a bit younger then, but most movies that are shot in New York shut down a good portion of the city anyway. So I mean. Yeah, there was probably something to that. I mean, if you listen to WCBS radio, which is based out of New York, you will often hear, don't go on the West Side. There's a movie shoot in the area, So there are a lot of people who get ticked off about that, but I don't think in enough numbers to really make that huge a difference at the box office, though. Like I said, I could be
Yeah.
wrong. If anybody knows better,
Well, I know they
Um,
played really well, but anyway, yeah, go ahead on that, Matt, because you're our expert.
On the commentaries, they talk about it a lot that the scenes that were shot outside the firehouse and 55 Central Park West, where the Gozer building, of course, and where that would be the top two spots particularly, and I think the hotel sequence is one of them too. I can't remember that exactly, but I know for sure the firehouse sequence where the containment grid shuts down and the ghosts are released is one of those scenes, because the Hook and Ladder 8 building is on I think it's on a corner of one of those active burgs. If Rob can confirm me if I'm right or wrong on that, because I'm pretty sure that hasn't changed since the 80s. But
yeah, that area, a lot of that area is still the same.
And they use it in other movies too, yeah.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure it was just those two avenues particularly that were just, really chaotic and hectic, because they had a lot of shooting outside of those buildings for either exterior shots or just, the big climactic scenes of the film itself.
Right, which famously is where they had to they had to definitely get the Ghostbuster name, because they had a bunch of extras, hundreds of extras screaming Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters. But anyway, onto the Comic-Con news. Go ahead and give us a rundown quickly of the Comic-Con news, Matt, that you can remember offhand. I know I was kind of excited to see some of it and very unexcited to hear and see some of the other stuff, but go ahead and give us your overall observation of what came out of Comic-Con, because that was the big news early on.
Yes, so apparently it looks like Paul Feig is out. So I am more than okay with this, because it's been something that because if everybody seems to remember, because Midnight's Edge covered this a lot, where Paul Feig was one of the primary problems with the film, if no one knew that already.
Yes.
Because this may turn into a trailer breakdown rant, and I can hear Rob laughing already, so this is already starting off well. So it seems that Paul is out, and I think that's probably
one of Hollywood.
Hooray for Hollywood, indeed, because I don't get what they were thinking and why. Well, and other than Amy Pascal picking this, which didn't need to, 3 times, I'm like, it's the beckoning of Beetlejuice, for Christ's sake. I'm like, you're just asking for trouble. You're just asking for trouble with a guy that does subversive comedy, where Ghostbusters has never been a subversive comedy, nor has it been a comedy first. It's a comedy. It's a comedy glue of of horror and supernatural.
Right. That's the joke, is that all these guys are playing it straight, basically, except for there's a little wink from Venkman to the camera, because he's kind of the Bugs Bunny of the group. But otherwise, all these other characters are playing it completely straight, and there's where the humor comes out of that.
Right. And so we go back to, Answer the Call did not. I mean, everybody likes to fight about that. Like, it surpassed the market needed. It did not. When Paul Feig came out and said that we need $500 million from the box office, including home release sales too, that was this little hooray for Holtzman thing, where, again, they're trying to push one character. They know they have a problem when you have to push one character out of the titular 4 that they said, these are your 4 female Ghostbusters, women are funny, get over it shtick. Right. And that, again, this wasn't a woman problem. This was a writing problem. This was a chemistry problem. There was nothing in this movie that showed, other than, bits of improv, that you just knew Paul Feig and Katie Dipple, the co-writer of the script, had nothing into it.
Right. Well, then just to kind of relate to what the news, we'll get into more of that kind of stuff we got a podcast talking about Sony coming up, and we'll probably really dig into that quite a bit. But just to kind of get into the other news. So they basically announced that there will be another live action film besides the animated film in 2019, correct?
Yes. I believe the animated film is going to be in 2018, or I think something in that nature, because they didn't talk about Ghostbusters Ecto-Force, which was Ivan Reitman's discussed animated series, which was going to take place in the 2050s. So I was wondering if there would be any light shed on that, or if that's completely dead altogether, because he seemed pretty avid going forward on that, because that left a little bit of an opening to whether or not this was going to be ATC or the Prime 84 team, which IDW Publishing, the guys that do their comics, has referred to the original team as being the Prime Ghostbusters. And
right. And that's supposed to be the team we're going to see in this new film. Now, my question is, I heard and I read about a little bit about it, where it's going to be a prequel. Is that true? Is that true?
It's not confirmed yet. They kind of gave a little bit of feeling towards that. I thought the animated movie might be that prequel because the rumor is that that's going to be the Slimer movie because everybody wants a Slimer movie. Remember when the real Ghostbusters cartoon came out and everybody wanted Slimer?
Well, there is some validity to that because I do remember as the movie was coming out last year, they were talking about the animated film kind of being about Slimer because the film was supposed to be a setup for that or something like that. The little
they did
adventure
some
he has in the film.
stupid little thing where he goes to a portal and that's it. I'm like, I haven't seen that movie since I saw it in the theater, and I'm just like, I don't want to ever see that movie ever again.
Because that movie needed a lady Slimer in it. Because we need to have one on each side for each gender, for everybody.
Everyone's be equal, and then blah 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 blah. And let's shoehorn all this crap.
Throw the F on. Who the fuck cares what gender they are when they're dead?
Lady Slimer. It's got me wonder what his Tinder profile looks like. Jeez.
No.
Right. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, there was some crossovers. I was actually excited to see. There's like a big Ninja Turtle crossover, and I love the look of that comic book cover that we have the picture for in our
right
in
there.
Our graphics there.
It's right there.
That was actually pretty cool. Yeah.
I like that because it's also paying homage to Turtles 2, and I like the turtle figures. But now I'll get to the part that I didn't like.
All right.
And that is they just can't let the girls die. I'm sorry. And it has nothing to do with them being women. Don't get me wrong. It's just, okay, let me put it a better way. They won't let it answer the call die.
Yes.
Yeah, they need to push that under the rug and just act like it never happened and do it again. You can do a thing where you had the Extreme Ghostbusters where you have this one chick. That one chick, what's her name? Kylie Griffin? Get her.
Griffin.
And
the funny thing is that the whole thing that seems to be pushing this crossover that no one really expected to do, especially after Ghostbusters Answer the Call. And like the first thing I want to point out is that this is a huge retcon to fix something that should have been done in the first place. But I guess, we got to fix this up because this is just nothing more than a salvage operation. But here we go. So the Answer the Call Ghostbusters Prime crossover entitled Ghostbusters 101 for IDW Publishing had this where the two universes basically collide, but there's a third team as well. And the third team is a team led by Janine Melnitz, the receptionist for the Prime Ghostbusters, because and first off, like let's just say that receptionist will always be better than a dumb Chris Hemsworth right off the bat, because that's not going to push any kind of character whatsoever. Anyway, the character, Janine's niece, Kate Banner, leads three other characters to be the Ghostbusters 101 team, they have more character than the ATC team. And throughout this comic, it's just, we're different, and there's a couple slams in there too. And I thought it was remarkable too that writer Eric Burnham he's been the writer for the series and the ongoing Ghostbusters comic series since 2011. That he threw some jabs into ATC, like very thinly veiled jabs, where by the end of the series, it looks like Holtzman is the only one wearing the ATC garb.
Right. Well, just to kind of move things forward, though, then. So there's going to be this, besides the comic crossover, they kind of hinted, from what I could tell from the footage on the Mundane Matt video I saw, where they were kind of hinting that they were going to try and cross over the girls into the original Ghostbuster universe on screen as well, is what I kind of got, was the basics for Ghostbusters 3, and oh my god.
That sounds ridiculous. I mean, here's the thing, again, I keep mentioning Extreme Ghostbusters, where again, you had that one cool chick, Kylie, she was, female representation is fine. I mean, nothing's stopped terrible, but she wasn't a shoehorn character. She was, cool. She was part of the team, and everyone seemed to be okay with her, and it was fine. It wasn't this thing where, like, every 5 seconds she stops, looking at the camera. I'm a woman, and I'm a Ghostbuster, and I support girl power, and you better accept it. It's like that's what it was with Ghostbusters Answer the Call, where it's this constant thing where we get hammered over the head constantly, over and over and over. And now I'm going to start to rant now, where it's like, everything has to be about girl power, blah blah blah. And of course, course, our narrator Rob here was the one that narrated the entire debacle of this Amy Pascal. Like, well, I'm Amy Pascal, and I really want this female empowerment movie. And then, even though it fails, I remember I got into a Twitter fight a couple months ago where someone it came up in a conversation. I forgot how it started, but it was something about Ghostbusters, and I'm like, Ghostbusters failed. It was an absolute failure, and the movie's crap and whatever. I was just blatantly pointing it out, and you remember this, Tom, because you got into it a little bit too. And there were these bunch of social justice warriors that were defending it, saying, "Well, it made more than its budget," and like,
and we're like, no, it didn't.
No, that's not how films work. That's not how it works.
Marketing.
Yeah, marketing.
Well,
and
not
of course,
just that. Yeah,
theater chains, what they get for it, and all that. And it's basically where I'm like, just admit it. This movie's garbage. It's not good.
And I think I even said it. Like, I think the death nail in the whole thing, I think, would put it down was, like I said, this movie didn't even make as much as the original movie did in 1984 dollars. Fuck inflation. You don't even have to get on that.
Even the sequel made more than this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was people trying to play off that this movie made more.
This is better than Ghostbusters 2. I'm like, well, because it's a carbon copy of the first one that you just gotta hate this movie. And I like Ghostbusters 2 because it's an actual Ghostbusters movie.
Right.
Like, but anyway,
it has its moments. Yeah.
It does. Like, there's moments. There's the what is it? The courtroom sequence. She's a harbor chick. I mean, where are you ever going to see
size, Ray?
Where are you ever going to see a Statue of Liberty powered by an NES Advantage joystick? I'm like, that's just a testament that Ghostbusters rocked and Nintendo rocked the world.
Not to
right
mention
there.
that, but Rick Moranis stole the second movie even more so than he did the first movie. But just to move along, so yeah, that was kind of the big announcements. Was there any other big announcements that you wanted to touch on to Ghostbusters before we moved along?
Oh, yes. So not only are they going to try and Kylie Griffin, I think it's more Holtzman that they want to inject in this one, where the others are just going to be cameos, and I'm like,
I actually like Holtzman. Holtzman's a guilty pleasure for me.
I mean,
understand the whole steampunk kind of slash semi-goth kind of.
Well, she's
they would have
been I can definitely.
She should have been Egon's daughter. She should have been fucking Egon's daughter.
Yeah,
been the catalyst for this whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, to move along, yes, go ahead, Matt.
So they're going to be injecting that, and the biggest offense that seems to be coming out of this is that Harold Ramis's last work for Ghostbusters, the video game from 2009, is now considered non-canon.
Which I don't see why they had to do that. There's no reason to. You can still do Ghostbusters.
They could have even made a movie out of that right there. They could have just like
said,
you know what?
Movie.
And that's the thing. They can even remaster it. Like they can have the movie. Here's how easy for them to make money. Take the game, make it into a script, make the movie, then make a remaster of the original game that people can buy for like a really good, decent price. You can make so much profit, then have maybe some merchandise tied in too.
Yeah, just up the level. Yeah, I would have been all for that. But unfortunately, the problem with the game is some of the performances are a little stagnant. We're not going to say who. Oh no, who? I can't hear you. Never mind. Anyway, so
it's certainly not Bill Murray.
Of course it is. It's not Bill Murray.
Why would you think that?
Moving on. So other than that,
Ready Player One, gentlemen. Let's talk about Ready Player One.
All right.
Well, I think Matt had one more thing to add there, and then we can move along. Yeah.
The thing is, the biggest offense of that is that kind of throws away the canon of what the comics did, because the IDW publishing comics that started in 2011 as the ongoing series were based entirely after the events of the video game. So they're throwing away all the comics too.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. And the Ghostbusters Answer the Call team are getting their own miniseries in October.
Yeah, I've seen that too. So anyway, then
are they gonna throw away the Larry Storch Forrest Tucker gorilla version too, or is that still...
I think that's immortal. I think you can't touch that now because that's probably more Ghostbusters than the ATC team.
Okay.
Anyway, moving along to Ready Player One.
Yes, we need to talk about Ready Player One. This cool new movie that has a lot of video games, and Iron Giant is in there for some reason, and Deadpool. Did you see Deadpool in there? There's Deadpool and Harley Quinn. They make a cameo in there. Yeah, they're there.
I tried to catch as much as
they're
possible.
There. If you look at the main guy, I forgot his name, when he's walking into this like hall room filled with all this techno babble, you see Harley Quinn and Deadpool both walk towards the camera. from the left side. So they're there. And there's another shot with Deadpool where he's with Iron Giant, where Iron Giant's coming in out of nowhere. And then you have DeLoreans, all this other crap. Can someone please explain to me what this is? Because I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what Ready Player One is. All I know is that it has to do with some guy in a video game, and it's like Tron, sort of.
Tron meets Fast and the Furious, meets Iron Giant, meets Deadpool, meets Harley Quinn, meets dystopian future. Yeah.
But why Iron Giant? I don't understand why is.
I have no idea.
I know why. I know why.
Warner Brothers has the rights.
Why?
Exactly.
Tell us, please.
Matt is correct. Very good. He got an A today. Because if you notice, outside of the DeLorean, everything that you talked about, well, except for I didn't see Deadpool. But
Deadpool's in there. Deadpool is in there. I swear. I swear
everything
my life
else, everything else besides the DeLorean and Deadpool so far that all of y'all mentioned, and you missed Freddy Krueger.
Oh yes.
All owned by Warner Brothers. And that was the same thing that I didn't like about the Batman movie, and I didn't really discuss in my review, and I probably should have, because the bad guys were cool, but they were all fucking Warner Brothers characters. Why didn't they even at least try to get a few other villains like Darth Vader? Shit like that is all I was going to say.
You're talking about the Lego Batman movie?
The Lego Batman movie.
Yeah, that movie kind of, like, on a side note, that movie kind of underperformed a little bit, which is kind of interesting, did it not?
It did not do as well as they were hoping. I liked the Gremlins. I liked some of the other villains.
There's Deadpool right there on the screen. Oh, you missed it.
Okay, I didn't really. I could try to make out some of it, but it was right so blurry. And that was that's my only complaint so far with this trailer, is that I love the idea, I love the concept, but I'm so sick and tired of these CGI epics. If you're gonna do this might as well have been an animated film. Okay, I see Deadpool now. I see it now.
Yeah.
He's more of the comic version of Deadpool. He's not really the Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be able to get away with that.
No. They obviously, and being Spielberg, I'm sure it was real easy for him to farm out a few people to get in.
Oh yeah,
like, obviously the DeLorean.
The DeLorean, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, anybody got any more, like feelings on? I'm kind of looking for it, but I'm just kind of
Yeah, like you don't seem to be that into this, Tom, at all. You're just kind of like,
It's like the effects. I'm getting so played out on these overly just too much CGI, too much.
I want more practical. I want more practical.
But let's be honest here. You can't do this with practical.
No.
Yeah,
right.
This is one of those things where it's obviously set up for this, but I don't know. Maybe this trailer just didn't give me the representation I needed, and too much is too happening too fast.
It doesn't seem to be getting a lot of traction either.
Like, this to me looks like Avatar, but with video games.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
Avatar and Tron.
That's what I think I told you Matter Beyond before. Yeah, it looks like Avatar meets Tron. I said, yeah, just kind of.
Okay. Do we? Okay. Is anybody going to predict if this is going to be a? I don't want to see it. If this is going to be a mediocre return for Steven Spielberg. What was his last movie? Bridge of Spies?
Yes.
Yeah, but that was kind of more of a vanity project.
Yeah, that was more like Oscar bait. Yeah.
A lot of shit. This will be his first return to commercial film since God. Because otherwise they've all been more like vanity projects and Oscar bait since what?
Since ever. I mean, since
War of the Worlds?
Probably.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm trying to think here. Yeah, unless somebody out there in the chat can tell us otherwise.
Put it in the comments.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of Spielberg's last fun movie he did, because he used to do that. That used to be his routine. He'd do one fun movie, then he'd do a serious movie, then he'd do a fun movie, serious movie, fun movie, so on, so on, so on.
That's what that routine gave us not Ghostbusters. I wish the Lost World Jurassic Park. So we got that a little bit.
Well, not only that, it was also because we also that was the reason we got Schindler's List and Jurassic Park in the same year as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't want to say I think this is going to bomb, but I don't think this is. It just looks like a crowded mess.
It seems like another Valerian waiting to happen.
And Joseph Solano, and that's the kind of vibe I got from it too. But Joseph Solano said in the chat that big BFG, big friendly giant, or big fucking giant, whatever the hell it was, the Spielberg
friendly giant,
was his last fun, unquote unquote fun movie. But I don't remember anybody saying they had any fucking fun at that movie. But anyway, sorry.
My theater was dead empty.
Zippo says Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was quote unquote fun to shit all over.
Pointed out though. Joseph did point out Tintin, and I think that did get a little bit of That did get some good reviews.
I said Valerian is this year's Tintin, another foreign property that they just expect everybody to flock to see, which they don't.
It's just a hollow movie. Like a lot of the European comics one. I think you and I talked about this, Rob, where it's just very hollow. It's very
Generic.
hollow.
I
Like,
read some of the Valerian comics after the movie, and I'm like, I can kind of see where they had a hard time pulling a lot of character out of this film, but I still don't understand where the fuck they got Dahan.
It's where Marvel, as Marvel was supposedly, and I'm gonna get hate for this. I know it. I just know it. Where Marvel started out. Marvel started.
I'm sorry, no.
Yeah, you're fine. Marvel started out their characters so you could actually put your shoes into the character. Well, put your feet in the character's shoes, so you could just understand them and kind of sympathize, empathize. These characters, they want you to be the character as you read. They want you to emulate how the character feels rather than empathizing and sympathizing and waiting for the cliffhanger, because they're in those comics there aren't really cliffhangers. There's not like there's no tune in next time or tune in or grab the next issue to see what happens next in these comics, like not Marvel comics but the Valerian and Tintin comics.
Yeah. So I'm like, does everybody have a loud exhaust? This is 2017, the summer of the loud exhaust for me. Jeez, do you guys hear that?
This is the exhaust pipe I can hear. Usually people do that. Is that
I thought maybe it was some of his bodily functions. But anyway, no, go on then. Well, anybody else got anything to say about Ready Player One? Because at this point with this, what we got so far with this teaser, I'm just not feeling it.
Well, I will say one thing. I did like the reference to Willy Wonka imagination. I did like that. I thought the orchestra music worked for me.
Yeah, it was all right. It just, to me, though, it was just too much of a clusterfuck of effects. It's like, look at this. We got all this. We got a
I will admit, though,
the trailer.
I did like, here's a great example. You know how Pixar does their Easter eggs?
Yeah.
Or how, I'm trying to think of a really good example, because there's an example in my head, but I can't figure it out, but it'll come to me, where they'll have Easter eggs that are there, but they're not so much in your face. Like, this was a little bit discombobulated. Like, I think they could have kept shots like Iron Giant and the DeLorean, but they should have scaled it back a little. One thing I actually didn't like is everything looked a little bit, like, dark. It didn't look bright enough, if you notice that.
Very Snyder-ish, yes.
Nothing
very,
really,
very
I couldn't really
Snyder-ish.
figure out what in the world am I looking at. Like, I would have loved it more if they would have brightened things up a little bit. I think I would have been like, oh, okay, I can see what's going on. I see it. When I see it here, it's kind of, I'm like, wait, what? Who's that? Oh, wait, that's an Easter egg, but I can't see. Is that Deathstroke? Is that Deadpool?
Well, and that's the problem I ran into when I was doing the stills for the show tonight, was finding a still that wasn't blurred as all bloody hell was just.
It also seems very low res too. Like,
impossible.
I see what you're saying, and maybe the bit rate, the way the person uploaded it for whatever reason, but it seems like it does seem very like low res. Like, I'm like, what am I
right?
looking
I'm
at?
sure if I'd have had a better resolution, it would have looked better. But anyway, Matt was going to say something. I think it was Matt.
Yeah, I do like. I think that because I'm still trying to finish the book by Ernest Cline, because this is based on a book, and he does say he draws a lot of Willy Wonka. Like, he did a lot, or he drew a lot of this from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory a bit. So I'm guessing that this has to do more so with the whole like 5 people go in, 1 person come out kind of mentality, I guess, or you win the game or something. So maybe that's it. And if that's the case, I feel like this is Spy Kids 3 Game Over or something.
Well, with much better effects. Let's be real. Spy Kids.
So let's be honest. Actually, this is kind of trying to go for that Hunger Games crowd.
I believe so.
Okay.
It's trying to go for the gamer crowd too, which I'm a proud member of.
Right.
So yeah.
I have a feeling though that what's going to happen, and this is going to be the last bit I'm going to say about this, is that if this underperforms, which I think it will, Spielberg was saying he was saying, oh well, superhero genre, blah blah blah. Eventually, it's going to go the way to the Western event, because this is coming out next year, right? And this is going to be, there's a couple big Marvel movies lined up. He's going to go right back to scapegoating Marvel and DC and the superhero genre, and I think it's kind of sad. I think here's a guy.
Spielberg is going to be his heyday. I'm sorry to interrupt, Rob, but I just want to interject. Like, it's the same thing we saw with Luc Besson, where he's like, well, that I don't know, I have a southern accent. Well,
I think he's like
Christopher Nolan
French
guy,
accent.
you know. Yeah.
Oh, that Christopher Nolan, he's not so hot.
Yeah,
you know.
you know, French, you know. I kind of sound like the guy from Star Wars, that like racist Jewish stereotype.
Yeah. Anyway, so anybody else got anything to fucking say about Ready Player One? Because I have zero interest in it.
Please don't be pixels. Please don't be pixels.
I seen somebody pointed that out on Taggart MC said this feels more like more serious Pixels to me, and he's got a point there. That's sad. Anyway,
Pixel Player One or something like.
Moving on.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Moving.
all right, let's just go on here. Let's talk about some good things. Let's talk about some Thor. Yeah. Oh my God, was this Thor trailer? To me, it was better.
The show.
It blew Justice League out of the water. We're gonna get into. I think we should address the leaked footage for Infinity War, which blew my mind.
Go ahead. I didn't watch it because all the videos out there were giving me a kink in my neck when I was trying to watch it. So
I saw the whole thing several times. I'm telling you guys, if you guys have not seen the leaked trailer, see it while you can.
I'll wait for the legit one on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh my God. You have no idea. You don't have a clue. You don't have an inkling of how amazing this movie is going to be. Oh, it's going to be so good.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Beyond, because this tells me one thing. At San Diego Comic-Con, even after having D23 last weekend, Marvel stole the show. And not only that, they didn't even have to pull the ace out yet.
Yes.
They're like, oh, here, just have this. This is the jack to go up against what WB just brought out there. Take a look. You know, and that blew away the competition. And anybody who wants to argue that, there is proof out there that it topped social media and other things going down, and I'm sure we could look at the trailer count and everything like that to compare.
Yeah, I mean, Justice League did considerably well, but
right.
I think it's mostly curiosity. We'll get into that a little bit later, but just talking about specifically Thor, again, Infinity War is going to be, I think, the greatest Marvel movie ever made, or one of the top three, and it's going to make so much money. It's going to make I don't care if it's going to be 3 hours or 4 hours long. I don't care.
It might be that $2 billion. It might be the highest grossing film of all time if it actually delivers.
Oh my God!
But yeah. So what is everybody's thoughts then on Thor the trailer then overall? Go ahead first, Rob, because you kind of been quiet.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I thought it really was. I mean, really. I mean, the scene where he's sitting with the Hulk,
Hulk like raising fire, and Thor is like smoldering fire.
Yeah, that was great. I love that.
I'm glad Hulk is able to control himself enough where he's able to speak now, which is something I've been waiting for so many movies. I'm like, when is Hulk going to speak? I can't wait until Bruce Banner and Hulk become one, and they're just like interchangeable.
And I love the voice. The
voice was spot on perfect.
It gives the Hulk an extra dimension now too. He's not just a mindless brute.
Exactly, and it actually gives you like, okay, I hope he shows up more in other movies. Even more so now, because I was always one of the few people who are like, yay, Hulk, I love Hulk. He's always kind of one of my ones I always liked a lot more in this universe. And then I'm glad to see him kind of get more of a character, like you said, because now hopefully he'll be in it more.
One of the things is I noticed this is actually this looks like a really different style of Marvel movie.
That's what I was going to say. It's like it doesn't seem that serious. Like from the trailer standpoint, like this looks like almost Guardians like.
Well, I was going to say it is a bridge to the Infinity War.
I call it Guardians into Thor, and you notice how in the Infinity War trailer, just to go back to that, he literally lands on the ship. It's almost like a callback to the original Avengers movie where Thor comes into the Avengers film on the top of the actual ship or whatever, the plane or whatever, and he's like, there with the lightning. Coming into play with the story, and in the leak trailer, it's kind of a reversal of that, where he's coming in and bringing in the Guardians and coming into play, but in this reversal way, where he's like all like, for whatever reason, I guess it has to do with Thor Ragnarok. He's like, he's out, he's incapacitated, he's knocked out for whatever reason, and then Mantis basically revives him, and he's like, oh my God, who are you people? What's going on here? And then that's when they start the actual Infinity War trailer. But the reason why I mention that is, like, they're showing how Marvel is finally, and I call this basically Jack Kirby porn. This movie is basically Jack, and I love that because they're finally embracing Marvel's zany weirdness, trippy, 70s, or like the 70s era where everyone was just on all types of drugs and substances, and that's how they made that good crap back in the day. And we're seeing that now and even Taika Waititi, the director, in an interview, he was like, I'm paraphrasing. He's basically said, I'm soft rebooting Thor. The other two movies weren't that good. They took Thor too seriously. I'm going to give Thor a true character. I'm going to let Chris Hemsworth go to town. He can be as comedic as he wants to be, but still keeping the core of the character. And we're seeing that here. And the music, it's like some 80s inspired flair. I mean, you literally could take
late 70s, 80s.
You can literally take this trailer right here and compile it and edit it in After Effects, make it look like it came from a VHS, and you want to really be able to tell the difference. You know what I mean? And I really love that because it feels like
some of the effects, but no, and that's a good point you brought up too. Is like, here's the thing we were saying in the podcast I just put up earlier about superhero fatigue, is that Marvel is the only one in the game that's really found the true key to this, and that is treating it like westerns. Even though Spielberg said it will go the way of the westerns, westerns could still be relevant if they were able to continue to find decent stories to tell, and superheroes are just so chock full of shit they'll be able to draw from it for way past our death. But that's the thing, is Marvel's cracked the code, and that is make every movie different. It's different than the last one. It doesn't matter if it's a sequel to another one of the movies, they're still different. Look at perfect examples, Captain America.
Winter Soldier.
Look at the first movie compared to Winter Soldier, compared to Civil War. All three are very, very extremely different films within the same trilogy, let alone universe. And not only that, almost every single Marvel movie feels different from the last two, even though they still feel connected.
I want to interject a little bit. There are a few Marvel movies that became very formulaic. I think one of them is, even though I enjoyed Doctor Strange, I thought it became a little formulaic and it was very predictable. Even though the effects were stellar and amazing, and I think visually it was very great. I'm also thinking of Age of Ultron was made almost as much money as the first Avengers film, but I feel like it would have made a heck of a lot more if they would have really made it a bit darker, like Empire Strikes Back, like really played up Ultron, not kill him at the end, not interject all these setups for Infinity War, and then have the movie slow down and have Thor, oh, I'm inside the water, oh, I'm getting a vision, oh, I see something, it's the Infinity Stones, and all that stuff where it kind of really took away from the main plot of the film. And again, it felt like even Iron Man 2 suffered from that, where they wanted to set up so much stuff to come. And, of course, Marvel has fixed that. Most of their films, I mean, to me, Marvel has about a 90%, maybe 88% success rate to me, overall.
I agree.
Yeah, pretty much. And
what did you think of the trailer, Matt? Because we haven't really heard from you.
Yeah, go ahead,
a little bit.
Oh, good Lord, I love this trailer. Like, I can't get past the fact that it makes me squeal like a schoolgirl. I'm like, yeah, it's like, this is something I want. This is something I want. Like when you're bouncing in the cinema seats and you're scaring the people around you, you got a good movie coming your way. Like this is Marvel having fun. This is Marvel having a good time with what they're putting out. It's like not Justice League, DCEU. Look at what they're doing. Have fun.
Yeah, this is the same thing I felt when I seen the teaser trailer. I squealed like a little girl, and this one even more so, especially when we got to the end with Hulk. I love the idea of this. I totally want to just see this movie now.
I think this is going to be one of the greatest Marvel movies to date. I also think this movie is going to be much better than Justice League. I still think Justice League is going to be a mess. Oh, we'll see one thing. For those who are listening, I'm not that big of a fan of Wonder Woman. Don't kill me. Please don't. but I really think the film is an overrated, pretentious movie. Anyway,
and we'll get more into this in a little bit. But yeah,
but I wanted to say this, where I think there's a chance that Justice League still may be a disaster, where I'll give it Wonder Woman was a success, but I think Justice League is going to take it 2 steps back. But of course, we'll get at that a little bit. But I think Thor Ragnarok is going to be the first Thor movie to really be a massive critical and financial and fans universal success.
Yeah,
I mean the slow motion shots,
right?
The slow motion shots we see Hela, and she's looking at all of the unicorn flying unicorns. The Pegasus, no, the Pegasus, right? Not unicorn, Pegasus, right? The white
Yes.
Pegasus.
I think so.
Pegasi, however how you say it. You know, and you see Tessa
Plural.
Thompson on one of them. Oh my god. The movie looks like it's almost like they're embracing more of the mythology more than even the previous two Thor films are. Where again, like one of the things I didn't like about the previous two ones were like, well, what you call a science is just another version of it, and now they're like, no, this is fantasy. This is crazy, zany gods fighting each other. Let's have fun. Forget all the jargon and the science and the magic are intertwined, and we don't give a crap.
The 9 realms.
Well,
let me go on a paper and teach you the 9 realms, okay? Here, Jane, listen closely, okay? So you see here, it's like no one cares.
remember South
We
Remember
might
South
get to
Park?
this in Infinity War. Mind you, we might get to this in Infinity War. I swear.
Remember South Park? These are the 9 realms, and this here's the Green Lantern planet. Nobody cares about that.
No one cares about the Green Lantern.
But yeah, it seems like what they've done actually isn't this movie going to take place entirely on Asgard? In Asgard?
No,
I think most of it is.
Well, I think Asgard gets destroyed, and then he goes into space, and then he winds up on different planets. And
Yeah,
stuff. I
well,
think it's
that's
the whole-
yeah. But I don't know. But I don't know if you guys have heard this, but actually there seems to be 2 Easter eggs on the totem. There is supposedly a Man-Thing Easter egg on that giant totem in the middle of Asgard, and a Beta Ray Bill Easter egg.
Ooh, someone put it in the I think it was way back in the comments. The Broken Pixel Gaming put that there is a Fantastic Four comic in this one where it's in the viewing area of the arena behind Loki.
Ooh.
So it could be. I like it when Marvel Studios does this, especially towards Fox, because screw Fox. Screw
Okay,
Fox with the
Intrigue.
Okay, well, okay, well.
Okay. All right, well, let's move.
They want
That
to
escalated quickly.
They want to Muppet Babies the Fantastic Four, so they can go screw themselves.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah,
Oh, well, let's not.
we'll
even
get
go
into
there.
that a
That's
little bit more in a
whole
different
nother
show
thing.
altogether.
Well,
yeah, that's another.
yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
say one thing, gentlemen? And this is a very gentleman-oriented question for you.
That was like 6 things, but go ahead.
So, what do you guys think about the villain of the movie? Helen.
Awesome.
Huh?
Oh,
Yes.
But she looks kind of hot.
it's Lady Death, isn't it?
She
Come
looks.
on, let's be honest.
I must say,
This is Lady Death, is it not?
It's like no, it's yeah. What do you mean?
Lady Death, the one that Thanos is obsessed with. Am I wrong? Does
Yeah.
everybody know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Yeah, I know, yeah, I know,
think,
yeah.
So this is going to completely lead into Infinity War, is what I was getting at.
I think
because,
it might.
yeah.
I think you're right. I think that's really
she
exciting.
said either somebody says something or she says something in the, and I can't believe I forgot it now, but somebody says something in the trailer about death following her wherever she goes.
Pardon me, guys.
Isn't it something where Black Widow says that? There's a death.
I think
death
Mantis
follows
said
anyone
that.
with Thanos.
I
or
think
something
I saw
like
the
that?
trailer. I think Mantis is the one that said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Something
Neil.
like that.
Neil comments. He's like, "This makes me sad. The
Right.
tone of Ragnarok is exactly what Fantastic Four should be," and I agree, because this is what they're
On
supposed to do.
60s, yeah, psychedelic-ish. You know,
Right.
that's the only. If I actually saw not to get too off course, but if I saw Marvel bringing Fantastic Four into their even semi-close to the universe, they're gonna do it as a period piece. They're gonna put it way out, and we're gonna have a young and an old version of
Uh,
in a
I
way
mean,
because
they're okay with their X-Men stuff, and I'm not bashing Fox outright. I'm bashing them because they can't. They seem to think that they can do things with Fantastic Four, and they can't. The X-Men,
No.
I think that the X-Men, they seem to get they go up and down. They go hot or they either go cold. I'm not bashing Deadpool, and I'm certainly not bashing Logan. But good Lord, just call it quits when you've had a dud.
well, they were
because
trying
that-
to get it in that same tone in universe as X-Men, and I think that was one of the
Yes.
film's biggest issues, and that's what I'm going to get on because we're going to have a Fantastic Four show coming up. Whether it's going to be for this channel or Minute's Edge, I cannot say yet, but yeah. Anyway, that's in the cards. Go ahead, guys, and let's finish up then on Thor and move on to
Yeah,
the
let's
other stuff.
finish it up on Thor right now because I want to make sure we get everything we have to do in our hour and 30-minute special, approximately. Of course, we can go over. Of course, if we need to.
I'm good on Thor. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
good.
so I think we pretty much fangirl.
I'm a
over
little
Thor,
Thor
enough.
as it is, so
Yeah.
but I'm fun.
I'm Thored out now. That's a terrible joke. Anyway, so moving on, we're gonna move right along to Justice League.
Well, if you had to deal with Hulk all the time, you'd be Thor too.
So the Justice League trailer dropped at Comic-Con, and I'll start us off since I'm kind of bringing us into this segment, and I'll say this. I like the fact that most of it looked like it's shot in IMAX. I know Joss Whedon went in there and put some color in it. That's good. Brightened it up a little bit. I can actually see what's going on. I saw that he went into the effects room and said, you know what? Instead of having the sky be all about like this like thunderstorms and we're talking about Thor, thunderstorms
Gray
everywhere. It's gray.
Blue,
I can't see anything. You notice how they turned the sky red, so it actually looks a little more colorful, more stylish. Is that picture right there with
stylized,
you see Aquaman? Yeah. You see it's very stylized, essentially. Yes, but you can definitely tell, and of course, as we know now, that it's basically a Joss Whedon, Zack Snyder movie, but it's really mostly a Joss Whedon movie. Let's be clear about that. It's mostly Joss Whedon. Anyway, so I think this movie is either going to be a decent movie or it's going to be a hot freaking mess. I really feel that way. I think there's a lot of good things that Joss Whedon is going to try to save this movie, but I guess out of a funny thing. Have you guys ever saw this movie Dougal before?
Yes,
I haven't seen it, but
I remember this.
There's a big story behind it. I know that I think Butch Hartman, he's an animator. He did some shows for Nickelodeon.
Fairly Odd
Parents, and all that stuff. So he was appointed essentially to fix the movie because there was so many problems with it, and essentially this one guy came up to him and he was like, Butch Hartman about Dougal, and he's like, they brought me on to it, and I couldn't save it. No, I couldn't do it. And I feel like perhaps maybe this is the same thing we're seeing with Justice League. Possibly. This film may end up being fantastic, and I'm not negating that, but there may be a thing where Joss Whedon is like, man, I tried to fix this movie. Because I heard another thing where the reshoots have been really extensive to the point where it's really affecting the actors' schedules, where they're really, really, biting their teeth on trying to get everything.
Well, not
together.
only that, they just a story come out today, and not to disrupt you.
No problem. Go right ahead.
I know, interrupt you, but disrupt at the same time. I knew what I meant. I said that on purpose, just to be punny or funny or whatever. Anyway, fuck that shit.
Get on with it.
Anyway, there was a story that came out today about they're having to remove Henry Cavill's fucking mustache. Because he's evidently got a fucking mustache for some other part. And oh my god, I'm sorry, but you know what? This just goes to show, and I'm sorry to people like Amethyst and other people that I've debated this with before. This fucking movie is getting redone from top to fucking
top to bottom. That's what's happening.
Except for a few things that they could work in there. You'll notice them probably when we get into the movie, because it'll be a bunch of slow-mo shots and other bullshit.
Oh, not the slow-mo.
And dark scenes, because they even lightened up. You can tell they even lightened up some of the scenes
Joss
from the first
Whedon is trying his darndest to save this movie. I can tell. I can tell.
Even Batman's a nice little shade of blue. He's not as black anymore, if that makes any sense.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right up front. Outside of some of the shit that was still carried over, and some of the shit that you can tell is definitely carried over yet from the Snyderverse, whether it was by choice or by force, I'm actually interested in this movie now. This trailer looked good. I even chuckled at some of the flashes.
I did. He's like, well, it seems like everyone just left you. That's rude. And he just goes off. That was like that got me. I laughed out loud at that. That was hilarious.
It's my problem with because I'm still trying to find my if anything to like about this film, because every time I see Ezra Miller as the Flash, I'm like, oh look, it's Tom Holland. It's Spider-Man.
You had to try hard to make him like the Tom Holland.
Oh, look, it's not Grant Gustin.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. He was better. Put him in. Why is he not in this? Oh, we're doing
different universe. Different universe.
Yes, on the other side of that, I agreed with Matt, though. They're trying to do the Spider-Man thing with him.
Oh, they are.
This is all a direct reaction to both Civil War and what they seen at first in Spider-Man Homecoming while they were making this.
Right, and here's one thing I'll say, too. And this is interesting. Notice how nuanced and very almost subliminal they've cut this trailer together. The first beginning of the trailer was that, the dun 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 dun, the Beatles coming together.
Yeah.
And then it changed into this more orchestrated type of trailer, which is something you would see from Joss Whedon, which is basically saying, okay, this is where it started. This is Zack Snyder's vision, but we're slowly changing it into a Joss Whedon movie. And you can clearly see that. It still has the aesthetic of a Snyder movie in some respects with the character designs and all that. But again, like you said, Tom, I know you get on Zack for this all the time. And I have to reiterate, there's actually color. I can see what's going on. I'm so excited. I'm not gonna go into a Zack Snyder. I don't have to go into a Zack Snyder film with a bunch of LED lights and flash it at the screen, trying to understand what's going on. It's like I finally, I can see now. I get it. Okay, we can actually enjoy a movie and actually understand what's going on. And I hope that Joss can try his darndest to make this a cohesive story, because I know a lot of people say Batman v Superman was such a good movie, and it's like Hitchcockian and all this. I'm like, no, it wasn't. No, it's not. It's a pretentious mess with a bunch of scenes and things happen just to happen. And Superman is not even in the movie barely. But anyway, getting back to Justice League, I hope to God that they try to make this movie right. I hope that God, Joss Whedon gets it right.
Well, there was some more news that come out today, and I got to touch on this because it explicitly ties into the very first Midnight's Edge podcast that we did with Andre and Rob the other day. And it come out today that there were some photos that were seen at Comic-Con.
Right.
That lead us to believe that Batman might die in Justice League. And the reason that is the one, I'm not even going to give any, because I know what the other one is. The one is him, Batman's next to a casket or whatever. Well, that was because of Superman's casket, and they're getting him undug and they're getting him ready and rejuvenating him or whatever. And that's that scene you see at the end of the trailer where Alfred's like, "Oh, hopefully you're not too late," and shit like that.
I think it might be Green Lantern, though. That's what I think.
It could be too, but I think it's Superman because Superman's in it. There's more than
what? What? Superman's not dead? I never would have guessed.
Anyway,
who would have guessed the dirt? The dirt. What did the dirt mean?
The supposed picture, though, that really puts this, or it was either a clip or a picture. I can't recall now. Sorry, somebody out there could probably correct me in the messages.
Put it in the comments.
Yeah. But it had Superman floating over 4 members of the League in jeans only, looking pissed as fuck, and the only one not there is Batman.
Are we sure this isn't a Levi's jeans commercial?
It could be.
I think they're trying to call back to like the new version of Superman where he just has the Superman logo, black shirt, and the jeans. He's just like, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, I forgot to put on my suit, so let me put on some Levi jeans." And he looks at the camera like Wayne's World, like just advertising it. You can see the telemarketing logos come on.
Well, because after that, we just barely got that podcast up at the same time that Ben Affleck, of course, made his announcement that I'm definitely going to be Batman from here on out. I'm not going anywhere, blah, 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 blah. Just like he was definitely directing, a week before he dropped out of that, too. So I think he's just paying lip service right now. I think he's just trying to get ahead of the news because I will believe the media over Ben Affleck any day because he has lied to us so many times before.
That Batman movie's coming out pretty soon, guys.
Yeah. And Ben Affleck just looks so, downtrodden in every single interview. I'm starting to think he wants out.
Well, I think there's weight to that, and I think that's true. I think they're gonna kill Bruce Wayne's Batman in this movie, and they're gonna reboot it somehow.
Well,
Flashpoint, because that's the other big announcement that everybody made a big deal out of, but it's not a big fucking deal. Since day one, when they announced back in 2013 or 14 that they were going to do a Flash film, it's been Flashpoint, because anybody who's watched the TV series knows that the TV series started out doing the Flashpoint plot, and then they had to kind of change it up a little bit because WB announced that was going to be the main storyline for Flash way back then. So then
damn it, Barry.
Damn it, Barry. So this isn't new news.
Damn it.
And there's already rumors that what's his face who played Thomas Wayne in Batman v Superman. God, what's his name? He's not Morgan. I think is his last name. He's on
Harry Morgan.
No.
Yeah, Harry Morgan's the guy from MASH. Never mind, and he's dead.
No,
so.
he was in Watchmen, and he's in
the comedian guy, right?
Yeah. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil Ganty. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I was right. Morgan is his last name. So he's already been supposedly rumored to be spotted in a Batman suit or at least there's supposedly somebody said something about some concept art for him. Because
What was his name again? Run a name by me again.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he played Thomas Wayne in
BVS.
and then the mothers, of course. If anybody knows the story of Flashpoint,
Yeah, I think they may be doing that. That because it's a possibility. I'm kind of thinking in my head too. I saw a couple things about that too online.
something about his mother being the Joker as well, which is also a plot line in Flashpoint as well. So anyway,
Well, it gives him the opportunity to reboot the character and to recast the character, because then after spoilers, after everything gets set right, then you can just have another actor take over as Batman.
right.
Barry, this is a Warner Brother exec, by the way. Barry, we kind of screwed up on this Batman casting. We need you to fix it. Fix it, Barry. We need to go back. We need to get a better Bruce Wayne. A Wayne that everyone can get behind. Not a Wayne that can make a Batman script and completely flub it out and have problems outside of the camera world.
Okay, we've got a Wayne everybody can get behind. It's Wayne Brady.
Okay.
But let me get on one thing that I really want to establish is for my opinion on this is that this should have been the movie to start everything, because they seem to be going all over the place. This feels so like, I know it feels so Avengers, where you got to get every little piece of each character. I'm like, why do we need to have this? It looks like we're going to get a lot of Wonder Woman story from this trailer. And
oh yeah, there's she's in the trailer at least 60 or 70% compared to the rest.
And for all we know,
I don't know how to do a diagram, but yeah.
I'm worried about that. I'm a little worried because I just hope because they make it even instead of one way. That makes sense. If you guys see where I'm coming from in that regard.
Well, I don't it could be that they edited it because Wonder Woman is still pretty hot out there.
Yeah.
Okay, I know how to say this and not sound like a fucking moron. That she had about 10% more screen time in the trailer than everybody else, and 110% more than Superman.
Yeah, and what's weird is that Aquaman feels more Thor than she does now. Where that was the one thing I didn't like about Wonder Woman is that we got to make this feel like Thor because Patty Jenkins.
Thank you. Somebody else got that too. I said that a long time ago. It's like they're trying to.
It's basically Thor and Captain America mixed together, and I'm like, I've seen this before. This is nothing new.
And now you got Aquaman. Aquaman, he's having some quips. He's having some jokes. I'm like, that's Thor. He's going, ha ha, here we go. Let's
say, ha ha, here we go. Now, but the only difference is that he's a surfer dude. Ooh, yeah, brother. I'm the surfer guy. Aquaman's cool.
And the sad part is, guess where they stole that from? Can anybody
Randy Macho Man Savage?
Good old
Smallville was the first time I seen Aquaman as a surfer dude. And I can't believe they continued on with it. I'm sure they did it before that in the comics, don't get me wrong, but...
Well, you got to get away from Aquaman, the blonde, squeaky clean, blonde hair, blue-eyed Aquaman.
He's like, hi, I'm the guy that talks to fish. Can I help you guys, Justice League? He's like, no, just stay at the headquarters. You don't need to do
the whole Family Guy, Aquaman's a pussy.
I'm tired of being abused on Robot Chicken all the time. Someone tell Seth Green to just stop it and leave me alone.
hey, you're lucky you're doing that over there.
If you're in this water, man, I totally get you, but
they even have something where what is it? Aquaman's on the verge of suicide. He's got a bomb around his belly. I'm gonna do it. You're not gonna do it.
It's like, no, I'm going to do it. I promise, I'm going to do it.
I worked on a show way back called Fanimation, which is a lot like Robot Chicken, and that's why I didn't go anywhere. So, the one joke we had on there, though, was a whole episode going through it. It was the Super Friends version of them. And Aquaman's like, can I help you guys? Can I please? And they're like, no, why don't you just go do this and go do that? We'll find something for you to do later, blah, 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 blah. And he's like trying to figure out, he's like going to quit and everything. And they're like, you can't fucking quit. Yeah, we can't all be superheroes. We got to have some super friends. It is called Super Friends, you know. Anyway, so then it goes on, and then of course the end of the joke is at the end of they're like, no, we don't need you or whatever. Then you cut to the end and it's Batman, up to his neck in water, and he's like, fuck. But anyway,
all right,
let's segue ourselves into the last story of the day, gentlemen. You guys ready for this? You guys ready?
No.
Well,
nobody's got anything to say about jail.
It's time. Well, I think you guys. Here's what I want to say. I think you guys need to discover some fortitude to get through this next segment here.
Yep,
You guys
yep,
get
leave
what
the
I'm
booth right
implying
now.
here. So
Leave the booth.
here we go. It's here. It's looping. There we have. There's that good fellow over there. This is gonna suck so hard. This is gonna be
Rob.
so bad. This is gonna suck so
Rob.
This is gonna be. This is gonna suck. Go on.
I just gotta ask you. Just gotta ask you. What'd you think of this clusterfuck?
I paused my
Turning
video feed. I'm assuming we're talking about Discovery or Inhumans.
Yes.
What
Headphone
Yes,
warning.
talking
everybody.
about
Headphone
Discovery.
warning. Headphone warning.
Well, like I said, we're talking about Discovery, right? I mean,
Of course.
Mhm.
yeah. Well, I have a question.
Oh no.
Now, a spaceship is an artificially controlled environment,
Right.
right? Why do you have open flame burning up the oxygen?
Oh, I forgot. Everybody might want to turn your shit down out there. I forgot the pre-warning.
I said
My
headphone
bad.
warning, so
Yeah, you did. Thank you, Matt. You should.
I saw some spikes
I
coming in
forgot.
now. I see some spikes.
That was what I was getting to, and I forgot. Turn down your volume, guys. Okay, continue, Rob.
Oh, for Christ's sake! I do have to give it up to him. That is the best Mass Effect trailer I have ever seen.
And drop the mic.
Krieger out. But, dear God, just when I think I've seen it all. I mean, and like, yeah, it's all the same shit that they're. It's all the same focus group driven shit that I hated about the first trailer. I mean, and you got the stupid cover song. That song is actually a song by a group called 10 Years After, which was a blues rock band from the UK back in the 60s.
Yeah, I like the original.
God.
Yeah, for those who don't know. And it's just like the same moody kind of slow version of that song. I just give me a fucking Star Trek series, please. Nothing about this screams, you must watch me or your life is not complete. Well, if your life's not complete, then if you don't watch Star Trek, then you seek medical attention. But anyway, I am beside myself, guys. I really am. And I did subject myself to watching the panel, actually the Comic-Con panel. They really didn't talk about the show a whole lot. I mean, they talked about elements of the show, but they didn't talk anything about the plot.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
you just know you're in trouble.
And I mean, they're just all so. I'm so excited to be part of this. This is so great.
It's so standard. It's a standard procedure when you know something's about to be a disaster. You can try to sell it. Deflect. There should be a meme
exactly.
on this channel.
Rob, turn deflect shields on. Engaged. Deflect shields are engaged.
Deflect any questions about the show. We don't want them to know that's a disaster. They can't know.
And in CBS All Access, this is going to be a $9 a month subscription, right?
Yeah,
Who's
my
buying this?
Okay, guys, here's what I'm gonna tell you. You want to know how you cheat this? You wait till you know the show's done, then you get it the last month so you can watch them all at once. At one time, at 1 month, and say, fuck you, CBS. And hopefully they got a 1 month free subscription trial package, too.
Yeah.
Midnight's Edge does not condone the actions that were just said by Thomas Connors.
Okay. Well, can I say one thing? I want to interject a little bit. Okay. So basically, I'll say this. There's a lot of lens flares in this trailer, which is something. I will say this also too. The quality of it itself, I will say this, does look very, very amazing. For a TV show, this is some of the best I've seen. I mean, this looks like almost movie quality, not quite there, but again, for a TV show, this is some of the best out
for
there.
what, 3.5, 6, 7 years now?
Yeah, and it's a shame because it looks like absolute shit.
I will give it up to him. The visuals are amazing. Unfortunately, well, let's go back to Valerian. How much did the visuals help that?
Not
much.
a darn bit. And here's the thing too. Okay, I think there is a mix of a lot of things. Okay, I think there is a lot of shoehorned changes. I think there is a little bit of
Social justice.
Yeah, well, heavy on that. Where I do think there's a lot of this shoehorn gender politics in it, which seems very forced to me, and it doesn't seem natural to me. This just seems so like, oh my god, there needs to be a black female character. You know, even though I'm black, it's just the idea that it needs to be so forced down your throats, and to the point where nothing feels real anymore, despite the fact that you had a female lead way back in the day that felt more like, oh, this is just a character or whatever. Instead, like I was talking about before, talking about Ghostbusters, where they had to turn to the camera, I'm an empowered woman, and you have to respect my position. And
Get over it. Get over it, right?
Get over it.
Well, not only that, okay, beyond the fact that...
Just for Joseph Solano, yes, that is Rainn Wilson, and he actually hosted he moderated the Comic-Con panel. Rainn Wilson is actually going to be playing Harry Mudd.
Sad.
That sounds like a dumb name, but anyway, keep going.
I think I remember.
Well, no, that goes back to the original series.
Yeah,
though.
he's a character
And I
from
do
the
like
original
Rainn
series.
Wilson too.
Me too. I used to. No, I'm just kidding. No, I like it.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Tom. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, fuck, what was I gonna say? No, I know what I was gonna say now. There's no clarity as to what timeline this is, and we had talked about this, I believe, off the air, right, Rob? And I know we're privy to a few things we're not supposed to talk about, and one of these things I hope is not this that I'm going to bring up now. Isn't Netflix in the process of suing them right now because this is not what they ordered?
I have read there is some kind of litigation. I'm not entirely clear on the details, but
yeah, for our out of the United States listeners, this show will be on Netflix for you guys, so that's no big deal. One thing we pointed out, Rob and I did in one of the earlier podcasts when we were
like I said, we got to be careful here because
right.
Because
I'm moving on.
There's certain things that
Right, and I'm moving on from that now. I was just gonna say, I mean, if you're outside of the U.S., not such a big deal because you got Netflix. But like Rob and I brought up in an earlier podcast when it was still Film Buffet podcast, was that I don't know how I was gonna put it. You got me off guard there, and I forgot what I was gonna say now. But basically, you don't have to add another subscription to your already full subscription lineup of internet, Hulu's, Netflix, and Amazon Primes, and all these things that you already added to. And that's one thing that Rob and I felt was really going to hurt this in the U.S. was a lot of people are not going to want to add another service to their already growing list of services. And I think that's one thing that's going to kill it here.
Can I jump on that a little bit? Like, because there was a show that Paul Feig did, and like, man, Paul Feig, everybody, let's go on that again. But there was a show called Other Space, I think it was called, where it was kind of Star Trek-ish. They had some Mystery Science Theater 3000 alumni on board it, and it was a Yahoo Access kind of thing where
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
And,
I do remember that.
It bombed on there because, again, why do we need another streaming service? Why does CBS of all people need it? I don't understand.
They're greedy bastards.
Well, Yahoo Access that was a free service, though. I mean, but the big problem with Yahoo Access was that
Yahoo. I'm talking about CBS. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Rob.
Okay.
CBS is a bunch of greedy bastards. That's what I meant.
Yes, I got that.
Well, CBS sees the streaming, everybody's streaming now, Hulu, Netflix, and everything else, and they want a piece of that action.
CBS is your grandpa trying to get in on shit way late in the game when everybody else is moved on to Twitter and Facebook. Your grandpa's still on MySpace. That's CBS.
They've got the flip phone they've got the flip phone, and while everybody else has the smartphone.
Yeah,
pretty much. If that.
But like I said, I've said over the past year, you've made me hate The Daily Show. You've made me hate Doctor Who, and I started hating Doctor Who well before the female Doctor was cast.
Oh my god! Can I just say something real quick? This whole female Doctor Who thing is utterly absurd. Okay, it's just another trend in the social justice craze where, we got to make female 007 instead of making her or we got to make a female Doctor Who, the female Ghostbusters.
Right. Well, that takes us back to the original
characters.
Right. That's what you were saying at the beginning of the show. Was it Girls' Night? Is that the name of the movie that we were talking about earlier? Yeah. Look at that. Perfect example. Do something original. You don't have to rip something off.
Right.
Even my emoji when I covered Emoji Movie, just like come on, like it's not hard. It's not hard to come up with something original.
Right.
It's not. I'm sorry, not original. It's not hard to come up with something that you can call your own.
Right,
Whereas Emoji Movie is just nothing more than a Lego movie.
It's the Lego movie mixed with Wreck-It Ralph, mixed with a couple all these
Inside
other generic
Out,
films.
Herman's Head,
Inside Out, right,
and
right.
Osmosis Jones, all of it. There's nothing new to this.
Oh, God,
Everybody's
Osmosis
seen the story.
Jones.
Good Lord.
Well,
that
like
movie.
I was saying before, yeah, like I said, you've made me hate the Daily Show. You've made me hate Doctor Who. Now, don't make me hate Star Trek. Please don't make me hate Star Trek. I have so little in this world. I don't want to hate Star Trek too.
Right.
Please.
I have a
And
feeling
I'm
we're
sure-
all going to unanimously hate this show, despite the
Good
visuals.
God, I'm barely holding on to Ghostbusters as it is because they keep punching us bit in the back with a knife every time when they come out with something new.
I
And I'm
would
like,
say
good God,
more
you're
like
stop.
shooting you with a Barrett 50 cal at point blank
man.
range.
Right. Well, and none of us here at Midnight's Edge are blind to the fact that we have a lot of Star Trek fans out there that listen. And just so you guys know that are listening, we are going to have a lot of Star Trek related stuff coming up. And if you want to catch a lot of the latest news that's going on at Midnight's Edge, you can always go to Patreon. And if you go ahead and donate to us on Patreon, there's all kinds of neat stuff that's there that's exclusively there. So check that out too. And there's going to be some stuff that's going to be coming up there. I know Andre wanted me to talk a little bit about that too. But anyway, speaking of Star Trek and moving on then. So yeah, this looks nothing like, and that's the main consensus I catch across the web is this looks nothing like Star Trek. This does not feel like Star Trek. And I think it's going to have a lot of people confused and not really giving two shits about it. Really. It's going to just go away fast, go and just be nothing because nobody's going to care. I mean, you're going to have a few people at first that are going to see it and they're going to tell their friends that it sucks. And the only people that are probably really going to watch it are going to be Trekkies.
Well, one of the big problems, actually, I noticed on Twitter is that nobody knows where to watch it. No, I mean, nobody can see the trailer outside the U.S. on CBS All Access,
I think they're
and
going
they have
to
to go.
bury this film. Sorry to interrupt you. I think they're going to bury this film. I mean, the
It's not
TV
a show,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
But
they're
it's
gonna
almost like
bury it.
it's basically the way I think they filmed it too, was like one big movie almost.
Yeah.
And even though they were
Yeah.
going to release it week by week or whatever on CBS All Access and Netflix across the country, I think I'm not even sure now what's the deal with Netflix everywhere else. Are they getting it right away too, or they got to wait until it's all released and then they get all the episodes?
No, they're getting it. They're getting it the same time we get it, from what I know. And actually, in Canada, it's going to be on Space and Channel Z, and it's going to be on. It's going to be on Crave TV Online, who has exclusive streaming rights in Canada. And that's another thing. I mean, it's a giant clusterfuck of who can see it where, instead of.
Boy.
It's going to
Make-
get pirated badly. I mean,
Yes,
not
it
just,
is.
Oh,
not
yeah.
to just
Oh, yeah.
let's talk about the pink elephant in the fucking room. This show. Sorry, now Beyond's got me going.
Yeah, because we're talking
The
about movies.
show is going to be pirated so badly. I bet you it's going to be.
That's going to hurt it. That's going to hurt it a lot too. That's going to really hurt it. But I think people are going to do it because they're in protest. Because I can see it now where people are just going to upload on YouTube and rant about how horrible it is if it does turn out to be horrible. But nevertheless, I think we can use that to segue into our viewer question aftermath segment of the show. But before I do that, do you have any closing remarks on Star Trek Discovery other than it looks like it's going to suck?
Well, we didn't talk about the other big elephant in the room, though.
Oh,
Spock's half sister.
Can we just go to viewer questions now? I wanna talk
let's
about
go.
this.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Questions.
questions.
Now. Now it's questions. We're
Who's
at the
got
aftermath
questions?
segment.
We'll leave that for the Star Trek shows.
Yeah,
This is
let's-
the part of the show where we answer your questions live.
I got
Let's make
outvoted.
questions live.
Okay. No. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's see some questions, guys. What do we got?
I like Faye James's "What a twist."
Hey, James. Well, that's not a question, James.
Well, no, I like
Gotta
that
wait
though.
for them
Just
to
what
catch
a
up here,
twist.
but while we're waiting for them to catch up with questions here.
Mike says Discovery will redefine horrible.
It'll
That's
make
that's not a question either. But I like the way you think, Mike.
Faye
That
James
is-
says,
it'll
just wait. The
Okay,
new
it'll-
doctor will be a dog, a fish, or even air.
I like
he's
what Mike. I like what Mike
Or a
and
trans mixed race female who is
Well, Nick,
asexual.
Neil Gonti has a question for Rob specifically. He says, "What did you think of Bryan Singer's pitch for? I believe he says Star Trek. He put it in abbreviation.
Yeah. Actually, I'm unfamiliar with Bryan Singer's pitch for Star Trek. I'm gonna have to educate myself on that.
we
But-
got
At this point, anything's gonna be better.
Marty McFly says, "What do you guys want in a modern Star Trek show?" Go ahead, Rob. Let's hear this one. I really do. I really want to hear
want something that takes place after Voyager returns to Earth.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to pick
I
up,
want them to pick a timeline. Pick a timeline and go
stick
forward.
to it.
Any timeline.
Any timeline.
But stick to it. That's the difference.
Marty, just pick a fucking timeline.
Marty,
and we'll go
great
there.
Scott! Just pick a fucking... Let me stop.
And we'll be there. Just tell us which timeline. No, I mean, that's what I want to know is, are they going to kill the Kelvin timeline? Are we going to continue on? Is this a fucking reboot? And of course, these are things we're going to cover later on in other shows. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, so what else? Anybody think about that before we move into a different question? Or sorry, I didn't interrupt.
Nope. I've got nothing. It's just like, I agree with Rob. Like, just pick something. Pick something. Quit trying to make something and just pick something.
They said it was supposed to come out, like, from what I saw in the first trailer, that it takes place like 10 years before the original trilogy series.
Yeah, that's
10 or 20.
It's kind of like the thing with Ghostbusters, where it's like it takes place in the same universe as. They said it's something so ambiguous where it's almost as if, this is the next generation, like 30 years later, and then they're saying it's in a different universe, so it's all confusing. And it's the same thing here, where it's like, what do you want? What are you trying to do?
We're doing bogus retconning, is what it feels like.
Okay.
It's like,
Right. Speaking of bogus retconning, go ahead,
Okay,
Rob.
actually, I've just read up quickly on Bryan Singer's pitch for Star Trek Federation. Set in the year 3000, humanity has become complacent. Many worlds left the Federation. Starfleet is stretched too thin. Ships are outdated. A new enemy called the Scourge attacks the USS Sojourner and 2 colony worlds. Sounds interesting. Sounds like that could be really good.
Right.
I like that pitch. The Ferengi become the dominant power in the galaxy. Okay. Yeah, actually, this sounds really, really good.
Right.
This sounds
we got
really good. I'd be interested in seeing this.
right. We got a few other questions here.
Dougie the Ducker says, honestly, is
Wait a minute. Who said? Hold on a second. I know who that is. Let me answer that question. I see you, Dougie the Ducker. He's whatchamacallit. He's my co-host. I run a channel with him or whatever. He's I have a clan I'm working on or whatever. So allow me to answer this question. Let me see this. What did you say here, sir? Let me see. Honestly, it's going to be this SQW diversity and feminist fad that's going to be a disappointing blimp in our history, where kids are going to be looking back and say, "What the f happened?" And I can't agree more. You freaking duck. Yes, I do agree that the social justice warrior stuff is going to completely kill and ruin and destroy our generation. I know this sounds really, really very like a hyperbole, but I just do not like the trend. It's like, I mean, think about it. 10 years ago, we would never think of trying to basically gender bend characters for a gimmick. We would say, that's stupid. Let's make, interesting characters on their own and make them cool. And of course, we saw with Ghostbusters and of course with Star Trek. A little less overtly is that there's this thing where, the trend now is flip the genders around and suddenly everything becomes empowering and suddenly you can sell a movie like that. Kind of in the same vein of what we're seeing with the Emoji Movie, where the only way they can sell a movie is to say, well, this film is anti-Trump and all that. And again, regardless of what you think about our president, that's fine. Think what you want. But let a kid's movie be a kid's movie, and let it be about fun and learning and comedy and whatever. But of course, we know the Emoji Movie is going to completely suck, but that's besides the point. The point is that don't try to sell your movie under the shell of social justice and pretend you're fighting for someone's rights, X minority group, but you're really just doing that because you're trying to follow a trend and trying to get up with what's popular.
And politics is a divider. Politics has always been a divider. Why do you want to engage on that? And I don't care if TJ Miller, to go on Emoji Movie again when he's promoting it, I don't care if he was joking about it either. You're bringing up political discussion into a movie that's not. It doesn't have anything to do with
Remember that thing that's a little scare with Rogue One? Oh, it's secretly anti-Trump and there's so much. And I saw that, I'm like, I don't see anything Trump related in this. I just see a bunch of stormtroopers that are a little bit better at shooting, but that's about it.
It sounded like Rob wanted to say something there, and then I got a few quick questions there. We can answer.
Just a quick thing. Carrie Dalton. Hi, Carrie. She wants to know our thoughts on Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Looks interesting.
All right.
Yeah. Looks fun. Looks very fun.
I'm really
All right,
liking
a quick
Demi
one
Moore.
we can
Demi
get
Moore
out of-
looks fantastic, but that's besides the point. Keep going.
Okay, and then Waryu Boy, he just wanted to know what our thoughts on Zendaya's character in Spider-Man Homecoming. You can check out the roundtable on that. We get a lot of our opinions. Otherwise, I can pretty much say real quickly that pretty much everybody didn't like it, but me, I didn't really care. I thought it was okay. I didn't have an issue.
Thought it was a giant cop out.
That was a cop out.
then-
It kind of was. And it's like, oh,
then-
by the way, my name's MJ, but it may not be Mary Jane, though. Like, it's kind of this thing where, oh, you never know. Like,
Joseph. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
and then we got a few other
Solano?
questions. Yeah.
Jason Clement's got a good one. What do you guys think of the Orville? And that's the Seth MacFarlane space show.
We
that
talked
he's
a little bit about it, but yeah, it looks pretty funny.
Can't wait to see it.
That actually looks better than Discovery.
Yes, it does.
Oh, we got a question
Yes.
from our girl Amethyst, who asks, "Do you guys think voice acting is an unappreciated craft?" Absolutely. As a person
Yes.
who's a huge fan of like animation and cartoons and all that stuff, yes, it is very true that voice acting does not get the recognition it deserves. We have the people like, the beautifully, awesomely talented Tara Strong. I always like to bring her up every time I can. I really like the fanboy over here. But she's like basically the amalgamation of how to be a voice actor and to really be absolutely the best at your craft. She's basically the Meryl Streep of voice acting, pretty much. She has done everything, anime, cartoons, and voiceovers for stuff, and she's so versatile. And D. Bradley Baker is as a male voice actor, which is another one who's like really, he's kind of like the Daniel Day-Lewis. I consider him Daniel Day-Lewis of voice acting, where he's able to literally do anything if you tell him to do it. Like, he's so committed to his craft. And yes, I know this is unrelated to film, but it is such an unrelated thing. It's the same thing with motion capture with Andy Serkis, where I feel like he deserves some Oscar accolades, where it's almost as if people don't really care about these specific fields because they think, oh, well, it's not traditional acting, so it doesn't
30
count.
years
It
from
is
now,
acting.
they'll make an award called the Andy Serkis Award, and they'll give
They
it.
better.
Yeah, and they'll give it retroactively because then in the future, 90% of all this stuff's going to be motion capture anyway. But yeah,
Yes.
So moving on, there was a few other quick questions.
We had one way back. Enterstar asks early picks for Batflick replacement.
Yeah, I seen that was one of them. I seen a good one the other day. I liked the idea of John Hamm. He wouldn't be bad.
That wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't have any debate on that. I honestly can't think of any other ones, like in my perspective.
John Hamm
Like,
for Batman, that seems a little bit too on the nose for me. I guess he's too much like a too easy of a choice. You need to do something a little bit left field, but still like someone you wouldn't think of at first, but then when you see it, you're like, oh wait, that actually makes sense.
Rob?
Kevin Spacey should play Batman. No.
Oh god, that's as bad as some of the ones we came up with the other day. But anyway, Rob, you got any choices up front?
No, who's that guy? The guy from not the guy from Homeland, the redhead guy from God, who the hell was that? He was supposed to be. There was a rumor floating around. He was gonna be 007 for a while, and it didn't turn out to be. It's not true. What the hell is his name?
Well, in the meantime,
yes,
somebody.
Jack Reacher pretty well, and just actually, Joseph Solano asked me who would I like to see direct.
That was what I was going to segue to. Yep.
Yeah, direct a 007 movie. I said either bring Martin Campbell back or an out of the box selection like Kenneth Branagh. Anybody? No.
No, I'm sorry, I was distracted.
I'm good with that.
What
I'm good with that.
did you say?
Marty McFly.
Yes, Mike. Damian Lewis. That's the guy. Yeah.
Damian Lewis. Okay. Wait, did someone say? I think Amethyst said Stephen Lang should be old Batman. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Yeah, that's
I
another
could
good
see
choice.
it. I could see it.
When they were gonna make the Batman Beyond movie, Charlton Heston was supposed to be an old Bruce Wayne.
Hey, Superman.
I'm Batman. Let's my pills.
You did it! You finally did it! You took my suit! Damn you to hell!
Martha, why are you saying that name?
Is that what we're doing right now, sir? Talking like Bane. You merely adopted the dog. I was born in it, molded by it.
Where'd the name go here? Just flip past here. God darn it. Okay. Aji Lestrange asked earlier what we thought about if we had any faith in Venom. Well, we've got several podcasts already where we have zero faith in Venom right now.
It's
I don't
going
even
to
think
suck.
Sony knows what the fuck they're doing at this
my god,
point.
no, they don't. No,
Cannot
absolutely
wait
not.
for that podcast roundtable, by the way.
I cannot wait. You know what the weird thing is? In a way, I cannot wait to see the Venom movie because I know
Carl
it's going
Urban
to
was
fail.
another choice brought up for Batman, and I seen that was another good one too. But
Oh
anyway, go ahead.
yeah, for sure. But no, I was just saying Venom. I actually can't wait to see this movie because I think it's going to be a fantastic four-level disaster. So I can't wait to see it and just laugh at Sony just fumbling like a bunch of idiots because they don't know what they're doing.
And again, like to touch on this again, because a lot of people think that Midnight's Edge is filled with like Sony haters. It's not that we hate Sony. It's just like we have to throw our arms up in question of just like, what are you guys doing? It's like
They're the Cleveland fucking Browns of the movie
of the film studios.
They're like,
Yes.
what? Why are you even trying? You know, it's like, no, just kidding.
Like,
No,
we
but they're
draft picks. Yeah.
We want good movies from this studio, and they continue to not deliver. Like they keep just giving us silver platters covering piles of crap every time.
Well,
And
yeah,
it's just like
the clown
don't even
herself,
try.
Amy Pascal ruining everything, and then you have Tom Rothman coming in and making it even worse. But the kind
The
of
guy who leveled Fox, by the way, he said that a Deadpool movie would never work too, and look how that went.
and then all of a
This
sudden,
is
when
sucking
Spider-Man:
Rothman.
Homecoming comes out, he tries to take the credit as, "Oh, I really wanted this movie to succeed." And even though a couple years ago he probably would have said, "No, this is stupid. No, let's greenlight
He's
that
an
other movie that people don't want."
Anti-franchise man. He's an anti-franchise man. He
is,
never likes
very much
franchises.
so. And he's very like,
Right.
let's change the character, make him look much different than he actually is. Let's sew his mouth together. That's how we're gonna do it. And
Well,
it's
this
like,
goes with another question that Aji had above about the Emoji Movie, and to go along with, not to plug Matt's show again, but he pointed out directly in the show, what the fuck does this movie exist for other than just to they think it's going to make money? They forced a finance company into making this film to the point where they walked away from Sony. They're like, fuck this, we're out. Peace. You know.
And this was also despite them for not funding Ghostbusters Answer the Call. Because they were initially pointing.
Yes,
40
L-Star
to
was also the
45.
company that pulled out of that one too. Yes, and that's because this company's like, wait a minute, they're realizing that that Sony has a bunch of shady deals going around. They had a big publicity issue after the email leak, the email hack leak, whatever you want to call it, you know. And Amy Pascal's like dangling by a thread. Even though she's technically fired and no longer works for Sony, she still has her production company, which is in conjunction with Sony, and she has several
Until
productions.
2019,
2019 is, which is the rumor or the reported date or year anyway.
Big
yeah,
day for Sony too.
Yeah, Sony, and there is a podcast coming up where we're going to really delve into Sony a lot, so we won't want to get too much into it. But yeah, Aji's question had to do with whether or not that we think that Emoji's going to pull the SJW card. I'm not sure what Emoji could even pull out of anything.
Well, I hear right now they're in controversy right now because of the Handmaid's Tale tweet they did. So that's something. It's like it's so.
Well, and then you have the
relevant.
Trump thing, so it's like they're almost like they're just trying to make some kind of they're like
We're trying to fail.
Well, not just that, they're trying to create controversy around this film
Because
just to give it
controversy
some kind of buzz.
They think controversy sells, and that didn't work for Ghostbusters. What makes it think it's going to work here?
This movie is gonna fail. It's coming out in 4 days, guys. You know what? I might see if I can get a chance to see it. It's gonna be kind of close because I have so much other stuff to do.
Just don't ask me to see it. I'll
but-
have an aneurysm.
I kind of want to see it just to laugh at its absurdity, to do a whole entire rant. And I can probably feature you in a video too, Matt, and on my channel where we can just completely go at it and just savagely roast this film because this is looking bad. This is
Like,
really
I'm not even
bad.
kidding. When recording, like a little behind the scenes thing here, because I record these things on a whim usually after I see these trailers. I was beat red and sweating when I was done with this
You damn
thing.
near had a breakdown over this fucking
Yes,
thing.
I did.
I said it in the post as almost a joke, but I wasn't kidding. And usually Matt writes these things all on his own, but he had to have a little help from Rob this time because it was just killing him.
I was just the door. Matt had to walk through it. I mean, that was the thing.
Well, I think I broke the hinges a couple times. Just like, good God, what is this movie? What are you doing? You turned out a Popeye movie for
It's like,
this.
what's next? The Booger movie? Like seriously, it's gonna be a bunch of animated fucking boogers running around in somebody's nose. That's the kind of fucking stupidity and point that we're getting here with Sony. And I'm not trying to rant because I've been trying not to because it's bad for my health. But I gotta do it because this is just fucking ridiculous. This is not even a fucking movie. This is not a movie. It's a gimmick all around.
No, it's an advertisement. Remember what I said at the end of Jumanji is that they only like to promote. They don't know how to write a story anymore. They just want to advertise, and that's it.
Even though I love me some Hotel Transylvania, I really love those two films by Genny Terry.
I fucking hated the first one. I'm sorry, I never even watched the second one. I can't stand
what.
I did not like
Tom,
it. I'm sorry.
I think we're gonna have ourselves a movie fights type of segment or something.
Hate relationship with Adam Sandler for a very long time, and you wouldn't understand. Rob would understand.
You can tell me after we go.
It's just at one time Adam Sandler was like at the top of the top. You know, he was considered like one of this kid's gonna go somewhere, and he had hit after hit after hit after hit. And then he did a movie called Little Nicky, and everything
Little Nicky
completely to hell, to the point where when Wedding Singer come out, people were talking like, this is something. This is a different kind of comedy here. I mean, he did change comedy there for a little bit, and then he just totally fucking gave up.
And I still love The Wedding Singer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Very underrated movie. And just to point out, this is another thing with Sony is they allowed Adam Sandler to just basically take over their fucking company
and do whatever he wants.
Get fat and lazy and take his friends on vacation, and that's it. That's all he did.
You know he did that because those last few movies before Pixels where he's going out.
He admitted it.
He did it. Like it's just like I just wanted to get next to Kate Upton and all these swimsuit
on vacation because you can't afford it otherwise.
I'm gonna sit next to Kate Upton under the pool.
You just know he was talking like that in the executive roundtable.
He's on vacation. He's on vacation. Jennifer Aniston happens to be at the same resort. Jennifer Aniston, would you like to be in a movie with me? We're going to shoot it this weekend. Is that what Just Go With It movie? That's how that came. Yeah. That's pretty much how that came about.
Right.
And then he saw a swimsuit. Was it a Sports Illustrated swimsuit shoot? And he's like, "Oh my God, it's Kate Upton! I'm gonna go over there and ask her." I don't know if she was actually in the movie, but oh my God,
isn't that Brooklyn Decker? No, I think she was Brooklyn Decker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty lady though. Brooklyn Decker is very attractive.
Brooklyn Decker, let's get her in this movie too.
Let's get her in the movie.
Hot. I do touch the hiney.
But yeah.
He's a film studio lech, and now he's on Netflix right now, and that's even worse.
Right, and that's the whole point. Is I think he learned his lesson a little bit to a point when he made sure he hitched himself to something that was going to pay him no matter what. And I think Sony learned their lesson with. I think Pixels kind of broke the camel's back.
Well, Pixels was a better Ghostbusters movie than Ghostbusters Answer the Call.
And I've said this, I don't know how many times. Pixels had so much potential and promise, to be a very original film, and that's just it. It could have been a very original film, and what did they do? They gave it to Adam fucking Sandler.
What happy now to sit it up? It's like the only character I liked out of that whole thing was probably Peter Dinklage's character, and to some extent Josh Gad.
Well, who the fuck, first of all, didn't get like Edgar Wright or somebody like that attached to this in the first place?
Again, if Sony ever had their head screwed on, I would love Edgar Wright to do a Ghostbusters movie, but they never will.
Well, even with Pixels is what I was getting at too. But somebody in that vein,
because they can do action and comedy. Action comedy. It's not hard.
They handle strange high concepts. Think about it for a minute. This movie was only going to work if you had somebody who was going to be able to take this concept and do something with it for an hour and a half because it was a short film.
Imagine this concept, like, it's, just go with me on this, like Pixels by Edgar Wright. Imagine instead of Sandler's role, and it would be, it could have been set in London, just another thing, or it could be set in here. It would be Simon Pegg as this loser guy. And Nick Frost as the president.
Perfect.
Prime Minister,
Just imagine that. Just imagine that. I mean, that works on its own because they have established chemistry, and it's not bullshit. Sandler and Kevin James hanging out at a bar.
All right.
What? But okay.
I think, gentlemen, I think
I think we're getting a little overlong there. Yeah.
I think we need to cut this off. This is going way too long. Well,
Yeah.
I hope the audience who's listening, I hope you guys enjoyed this
we still
rant.
got a pretty steady audience
I know
we kept
we do.
to the
We
show. I
do.
gotta
And
say, thanks,
we
guys.
appreciate for those who are staying, even though we went completely off
Thank
the
you.
rails.
Neil had a question again. He's if Marvel got the rights back to Fantastic Four, who should direct the movie? And on a side note, he adds, it needs to be someone who really gets the four, and the family element needs to be a forefront.
Peyton Reed,
The answer is no and no and no and no and no and no and no. No.
Brad
Just
Bird.
no. Just enough. No.
Just enough of the Fantastic Four.
Yes, enough for a while.
time
Let it
to
go.
stop.
But we'll
It's
get
time
into
to
more.
stop.
No, we'll get into more of that when we get
okay.
into the
Yeah,
Fantastic
no,
Four.
no,
But yeah,
no,
go ahead,
no,
Rob.
no. All right.
What do you call it? Said, Joseph Solana, what about a potential Pez movie? Sounds delicious.
Oh my
Get out.
fucking god!
Get out.
That's what's
Get out.
next.
No,
That's
we're
what's
done. We're
next.
done here, guys. We gotta leave.
That's so.
Hey,
We're gonna
I
go
don't
into
know
so many
20-minute
fucking
rant.
ideas because they're
I
probably
don't
listening
live-
to us, man. No, just kidding.
I don't live very far from the Pez factory, so I
I could see Sony
I'll
down
run
that
down
shit.
there. I'll run down
Next
there and see what's
supper.
in the works.
All your favorite flavors are coming to the big screen.
And then we're gonna have another movie with a bunch of Kellogg cereal products. No, we need to stop. I can go
Sugar
on
Smacks
forever.
the movie.
Pez the movie, starring Eddie Murphy. Hey man, I'm a kid.
No.
Hey
get out.
man.
Hey,
Hi.
you just won't stay down, man.
Okay,
All
we're
your
done.
favorite
We're done.
Sony
We're done here.
characters,
We're
including
done.
Spider-Man, is
Guys,
your favorite Pez
guys,
dispenser.
We were done. It's time to stop. It's time to
All
stop.
right, thanks for
We're
joining
on
us
to-
once again here at Midnight's Edge After Dark Live, or actually the first time After Dark Live. So just so everybody kind of knows the schedule, we are planning on doing this on Mondays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, correct? And 9 p.m. Central Time. So yeah, you'll have to plan accordingly depending on where you live. I want to thank everybody for joining us again. Like I said, support us on Patreon, and of course like and share this video if you liked it. Tell your friends to subscribe, and don't forget to let them know that Midnight's Edge After Dark exists.
Yes,
We're
of
doing
course.
Don't forget to ding the bell too if you haven't.
Please support us on Patreon and
And
give
of
us
course-
$5, $10, $100, $100. Give us $100. Give us
That's
$100.
a lot of
Your
needs.
firstborn male.
No, we don't need that. No, I don't need to take care of any more damn kids. Anyway, point
I'm
is,
already young. I'm already the
yeah,
child.
that's all we need is a kid to come in the mail. God damn it. No. Anyway, God damn it, Barry. No, we actually got more viewers now while we're doing this stuff than we did before. But anyway. So yeah, go ahead.
What
and-
is? It's Pez.
It's Pez. Pez did it.
always draws a crowd.
But yeah, check out Robot Shlomo on YouTube, and you can check out Rob's videos there, and Beyond the Blizz, of course, on his links. You can check those out right on our featured channels right here on Midnight's Edge After Dark. Thanks again, guys, for joining me.
You're welcome. All right, Pez.
If anybody wants, I'll plug this right away since we talked Ghostbusters. I do have a group on Facebook. It's called the Ectoplasmic Containment Chamber. So stop by for some ATC-free Ghostbusters if you want.
Right.
But
Okay, and,
we're trying to get something started up with Ghostbusters podcasting of some sort.
Yep, we're
Super.
working on that. So we'll get to that in a later date, and we'll explain what that's all about. And that might be something that we'll get into later, obviously, like I said. And thanks again for joining us here at Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Right, and of course, I just wanted to interject real quick and plug a few things just really quick. I know I have my channel there too, and if you guys are into cosplaying and stuff like that, I got a big bunch of videos coming out for that as well too. That's another thing I do professionally, so look out for that soon. It should be coming in the next week or so. I've just been so slammed having to do a bunch of other stuff, so yeah, just follow me at Beyond the Blizz, and of course I know Rob also has his channel too, Robot Somo, as you know, and of course also our other guest here, the good old. I want to make sure I get your name correct. Good old Matt, because I just wanted to say Rob in my head.
Matt Weiss.
For some reason, anyway. So we thank everyone for joining the podcast. Of course, my co-host today, or from now on, of course, Tom Connors. So,
Yep.
Catch you guys soon on the next podcast here Thursday on Midnight's Edge After Dark Live. Tune in next time, and we'll discuss more spin-free analysis of Hollywood and blah 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 and blah.
And all non-Pez related news.
Oh no!
Oh,
You never know.
Tic Tac's the movie, everyone. Tic Tac's.
Okay, and we're done.